Elton John made Diana a promise. "I'll never tell anyone the things you've told me, not even your sons." Diana smiled. "Especially not my sons. They're too young. Maybe when they're older." But Diana died before they got older, and Elton kept that promise until 2024, when Prince Harry called and said the words Elton had been waiting 27 years to hear. "I'm ready to know." Let's start with today, 2024. Elton John is 77 years old. He's retired from touring, living quietly with his husband David and their 2 sons. The chaos of his rock star life is behind him, but there's one thing that still haunts him, one promise that weighs on him every single day. The secrets Diana told him, the things she made him swear to never reveal. For 27 years, Elton has carried these secrets alone. Every time someone asks about Diana, he gives the same careful answers. She was wonderful, kind, misunderstood. But he never goes deeper, never reveals what he really knows, because he made Diana a promise. And Elton doesn't break promises, not even for her sons. But that changed in early 2024. Elton was at home in Windsor. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon. His phone rang. Unknown number. Elton almost didn't answer, but something told him to pick up. "Elton, it's Harry." Elton's heart skipped. Prince Harry, Diana's son. They'd talked over the years, mostly pleasantries. "How are you? How's the family?" But this felt different. Harry's voice was serious, strained. "Harry, is everything okay?" There was a pause. Then Harry spoke. "I need to talk to you about my mother. I need to know the truth, the real truth, not the version the palace tells, not the version the press sells. I need to know who she really was, and you're the only person left who can tell me." Elton sat down. His hands were shaking. This was the call he'd been dreading and hoping for 27 years. "Harry, your mother made me promise. She made me swear I'd never tell you certain things. She wanted to protect you." Harry's voice cracked. "I'm 39 years old, Elton. I have children of my own. I've been to war. I've left the royal family. I've lost everything trying to understand who she was and why she died. I think I'm ready now. I think I deserve to know." Elton closed his eyes, heard Diana's voice in his head. "Especially not my sons. They're too young." But Harry wasn't young anymore. He was a father, a man who'd spent his entire life searching for his mother, and Elton realized Diana would want Harry to know. She'd want her son to understand. "Okay," Elton said quietly. "I'll tell you everything. Let's go back. To understand what Elton knows, you need to understand his friendship with Diana. They met in 1981. Became close in the late 80s and early 90s. Diana trusted Elton in a way she trusted almost no one else. Because Elton understood her world, the fame, the scrutiny, the loneliness of being constantly watched. Diana would call Elton late at night, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, sometimes just needing someone to listen. And she'd tell him things, private things, painful things, things she couldn't tell anyone else. One night in 1995, Diana called Elton around midnight. She was upset, more upset than usual. "I need to see you," she said. "Tomorrow, please." The next day, Elton went to Kensington Palace. Diana looked exhausted. She'd been crying. They sat in her private sitting room, and Diana said something that shocked Elton. "I need you to promise me something. If anything happens to me, there are things my boys can't know. Not yet, maybe not ever, but especially not while they're young." Elton was confused. "Diana, what are you talking about? What things?" Diana looked him in the eye. "Things about their father. Things about the palace. Things about why I'm really afraid. I'm going to tell you, because I need someone to know. But you have to promise. You can't tell William and Harry, not unless they're much older." and not unless they specifically ask. Elton promised, and Diana started talking. She told Elton about Charles, about the real reason their marriage failed. It wasn't just Camilla. There were things Charles had done, ways he'd manipulated Diana, psychological control that the public never saw. Diana felt like she'd been gaslit for years, made to feel crazy, unstable, emotional, hysterical, when really she was just seeing the truth, just reacting normally to an abnormal situation. Diana described moments where Charles would tell her one thing privately, then deny it publicly, would make promises, then act like she'd imagined them, would sympathize with her struggles, then tell others she was being dramatic. It was methodical, calculated, and it made Diana question everything, even her own memories. There were nights, Diana told Elton, where I'd lie awake wondering if I really was going mad. If everything Charles and the palace said about me was true, that I was too sensitive, too needy, too unstable for royal life. But then I'd remember things, conversations, promises, and I'd realize they were rewriting history, making me the villain in a story they'd created. She told Elton about the palace, about how they saw her as a threat, not because she was doing anything wrong, but because she was too popular, too independent, too willing to speak her truth. The institution didn't know how to control her, and what the palace can't control, it destroys. Diana believed there were people in the establishment who wanted her gone, not necessarily dead, but silenced, removed from public life, stripped of her platform. She felt hunted by her own husband's family, watched constantly, every move analyzed, every word scrutinized, and she told Elton about William and Harry, about the crushing guilt she carried every single day, how she knew her divorce and her public battles were hurting them, how she saw the pain in their eyes when they read the headlines, when they heard the whispers at school, when they watched their parents' marriage crumble on the world stage. Diana wanted to protect them, but she didn't know how to do that without sacrificing herself completely, without disappearing, and she couldn't do that, wouldn't do that. So she fought, and she felt like she was dragging her sons through hell with her. Elton listened, didn't judge, just held Diana's hand while she cried, and when she was done, he made his promise. I won't tell anyone, especially not the boys, I swear. Diana smiled through her tears. Thank you. Maybe someday they'll be ready. But not now. They're too young to carry this. 2 years later, Diana was dead, and Elton was left with secrets he couldn't share, couldn't unburden. Even at Diana's funeral, when he saw William and Harry walking behind their mother's coffin, Elton wanted to tell them, wanted to explain why their mother had been so afraid, so unhappy. But he couldn't. He'd made a promise. Over the years, William and Harry would occasionally ask Elton about Diana. What was she really like? Was she happy? Elton would give them careful answers. She loved you both so much. She was brave. She was kind. All true, but not the whole truth. And every time Elton felt the weight of those secrets. Then came 2024. Harry's call. And Elton made a decision. Harry was ready. More than ready. He'd spent decades trying to understand his mother, trying to make sense of her death. He deserved the truth. Harry, Elton said, taking a deep breath, your mother was terrified in her last years, not just of the paparazzi, of the institution itself. She felt like the palace saw her as a problem that needed to be solved, and she didn't know what lengths they'd go to in order to solve it. Harry was quiet, processing. Then, did she think they'd hurt her? Elton hesitated. This was the part he'd dreaded for 27 years. She thought they'd silence her, one way or another. She told me there were conversations, meetings where her name came up, where people discussed what to do about the Diana problem. She never had proof. Just instinct and fear. Did she know she was going to die? No. She didn't have a premonition or anything like that. But she knew she was in danger. She told me multiple times that if anything happened to her, it wouldn't be an accident, that people would try to make it look like one. She even... Elton paused. She even gave me a letter, a sealed letter, with instructions to only open it if she died. Harry's breath caught. What did the letter say? That's between me and your mother, Harry. Some things I promised to take to my grave. But I can tell you this. She named no names, made no specific accusations. She just wanted someone to know that she'd been afraid, that if something happened, people should ask questions. Harry's voice was barely a whisper. Do you think she was right? Do you think someone wanted her dead? Elton took a deep breath. This was the question he'd wrestled with for 27 years. The question that kept him awake at night. I think your mother was afraid for valid reasons. I think she'd experienced real threats. Real attempts to control and silence her, whether those fears extended to people wanting her actually dead. I don't know, Harry. I truly don't. What I do know is that the crash was investigated, and the official conclusion was an accident, a drunk driver, paparazzi chase, tragic timing. I don't have evidence to dispute that. But you have doubts. I have questions, questions I'll never have answers to. There was a long silence. Then Harry asked the question Elton knew was coming. What about my father? What did she tell you about him? Elton closed his eyes. This was the hardest part. Your mother felt trapped by Charles. She felt like he'd manipulated her, made her feel unstable, crazy. She told me there were times she questioned her own sanity because Charles in the palace kept telling her she was imagining things, being paranoid. But she wasn't. She was just seeing the truth. Did she hate him? No, she pitied him. She said Charles was a prisoner too, just a different kind of cage. But that didn't make what he did to her okay. Harry was crying now. Elton could hear it. Did she know how much we loved her? Yes. God, yes. You and William were the only things that kept her going. She'd tell me, I have to stay strong for my boys. You were her everything, Harry. Then why did she leave us? The question hung in the air, heavy, painful. She didn't leave you, Harry. She was taken from you by a drunk driver, by paparazzi who wouldn't stop chasing her, by a system that pushed her to the breaking point, but she didn't leave you. She fought to stay alive. For you and William, she just lost. Harry was sobbing now, and so was Elton. Two men, separated by an ocean, connected by grief, by love for a woman who died too young. Thank you, Harry finally said, for telling me, for keeping her secrets all these years, and for trusting me with them now. She'd want you to know, Harry, you're not a child anymore. You're a man, a father. You deserve to understand who your mother really was. After they hung up, Elton sat in silence. For 27 years, he'd carried Diana's secrets alone, and now he'd passed them to her son, exactly as Diana had wanted, when Harry was ready, when he was old enough to understand. Elton looked at a photo on his desk. Diana, smiling, beautiful, gone for 27 years, but still so present. And Elton whispered to her, I kept my promise, until the right time. I hope I made the right choice. Today, Elton John is 77. He's lived an extraordinary life. Fame, fortune, love, loss. But the thing he's most proud of, keeping Diana's secrets, protecting her sons, and finally, when the time was right, giving Harry the truth he needed. Because that's what friends do. They keep promises. They wait for the right moment. And they trust that eventually the truth will set everyone free, even if it takes 27 years. This is the story of the secrets Elton kept, the promise he honored, and the day he finally told Prince Harry everything his mother wanted him to know, when he was ready, when he was old enough, when he could finally understand.